When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
All right, welcome back to the Elias Makos Show and the second hour of the program. We are with you straight through until noon. We begin this hour of the program by looking at the federal firearm buyback program. Now, it was announced in 2020. Since then, it has cost taxpayers $67 million. But here's the deal. It's cost a lot of money, but it still hasn't collected a single gun. The program was designed as a means of compensation for assault-style firearm owners who had their weapons banned by the Liberal government in 2020. With more on this, we go to Senator Donald Plett, a Senate opposition leader with the Conservative Party of Canada. Senator Plett, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So, listen, and I know just even the program itself, the idea of it, you've got issues with it. But maybe what we could start off with is what went wrong here? What's gone wrong where we've spent $67 million for literally zero results?
Well, of course, at the very start, what went wrong, Elias, is the fact that we have an NDP Liberal government here who wants to go after licensed gun owners, sports shooters, duck hunters, and they have no way of knowing how to do this. This goes back to the original gun legislation that they brought in. It's an incredible, shocking amount of money to spend on a program that does not yet exist. They have paid $11 million of taxpayers' hard-earned money to external consultants because they themselves do not know how to run a program. So from the get-go, there was no thought given, there was no consultation, there was nobody with any expertise that was doing this, and as you've already said, we are now $67 million into a program that hasn't bought back one gun yet, and we don't know when they'll start buying them back.
Can I ask you, because what I'm so interested in is the data on the types of guns that are being used when crime is committed in the country. And I'm just not so sure if we have answers. Now, maybe you do have these answers. What does the data tell us? Is there data that exists from police forces that gives us proof that the type of guns that were banned here are the types of guns being used for violent crime, for other types of crime?
We certainly have data. I don't have the numbers here, but there is certainly data out there of the number of guns that have been brought in illegally from out of the country to use for crimes and not legally owned firearms. The types of firearms, certainly there are shotguns that duck hunters would use that may well be used in a crime. But the majority of the guns, the vast majority of the guns, are guns that have been brought in across the border illegally. Okay,
and that's the thing. Like, let's say we were to look at in a given year gun crime in Montreal, and of course I don't have the numbers in front of me, but are the stats there where we could say, my goodness, for every 1,000 gun crimes in Montreal, X percentage are done with illegal guns from outside of the country? Would we even know that?
It would be very, very hard to tell because, of course, you don't get the gun. Somebody comes in and robs you. He's not going to leave his gun laying there for you to check that. But we do know how many guns are being that are being brought across illegally, and so. Nobody's going to leave his gun laying there after he's committed a crime.
And now, so I guess the program shouldn't even be there in the first place. Is that what you believe? Forget about the $67 million.
If this NDP Liberal government was serious about crime, they should have used this money, for example, to get cargo X-ray machines to help stop the import of stolen cars. A scanner costs, and they bought one, $3.5 million. They could have bought 19 scanners for the same amount of money as they have now spent on this program that does not exist. If this government was serious about crime, they would increase sentences. We would have jail and not bail. we would start spending money on actually trying to find ways of reducing crime, such as X-rays. You talked about Montreal. How many stolen cars are going through the port in Montreal in containers that we are doing nothing about? If this government was serious about crime, it was evident that when Bill C-21 came before the Senate, the government had done, as I said, virtually no consultation prior to presenting the legislation. I've asked multiple questions that have made this very obvious. And now all of a sudden, after spending $67 million, they need and want to consult on what they are doing and how they are doing it so they can and this is being done on the backs of taxpayers.
We're with Senator Donald Plett, and we're talking about the federal firearm buyback program. Senator Plett, you know that saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Is this are the intentions here good? You know, we've had like the Polytechnic, Police se souvient, right? The survivors of Polytechnic massacre that happened in Montreal in 1989. They've been on the program. I feel they're well-meaning. They want to see, no gun massacres ever again in this country. So it feels like there's a good intention behind some of this. But is it just the implementation that's the problem? Where do you land on that?
Listen, I agree with the people of the Polytechnic. I also do not want any more gun crimes, any more massacres, for sure. But we have a Liberal government here who does this every time they get close to an election. They start implementing programs that are clearly intended to get sentimental reviews, and they are telling people that guns are being used, legal guns are being used to do this, and the data shows that that is not the case. So let's go after the perpetrators, but let's leave good duck hunters, sports shooters. Let's let them continue. Olympic shooters. We are doing away with sports in the Olympics as a result of this. It has nothing to do with the individual that went and massacred all these young women in Montreal. We fully support that. But this is a government that simply wants to bring in feel-good legislation instead of actually reducing crime.
Senator, do you have does the Conservative Party have a policy on any type of weapons, guns that should be banned in the country? Any type of and whether the terminology is assault weapon or assault style, whatever it is, are there guns that you believe should be banned at the end of the day?
Well, listen, it's my job as the leader of the opposition to oppose what I see as very harmful legislation. When we form government, we will clearly come out with policies that we believe are going to be helpful to the country. Are there guns that I personally would question? For sure there are. But what we are doing now, what we are targeting now, is not the answer.
Why do you think it is that in this country a program can be announced, and then 4 years later we find out that $67 million have been spent, and there's literally zero results? How does that happen?
Well, it happens when you have an irresponsible government. Let me just say that I asked again last week. I asked Senator Gold, the leader of the government in the Senate. I returned to the issue of the $11.5 million in external consultants, and I asked the government to commit to table in the Senate the amounts of money and the names of the vendors for each contract, the date the contracts began and ended, and a summary of the work provided under each contract. The answer from Senator Gold was, and I quote, "No, I am not willing to make that undertaking." So when you have a government who is not willing to give you the answers on how they spend money, that's when you have this. How much of that $11.5 million went to liberal-friendly firms? We have no idea because they will not table the information.
Senator, we have to leave it there. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
That is Senator Donald Plett. He is a Senate opposition leader.